Hello fellow Fright fans and welcome to the Spook Factor. I'm your host, Daffy, and I am a total Whedonite. I wasn't always a fan of famed writer and director Joss Whedon. In fact, my knowledge of his work only started about 8 years ago when my girlfriend Laura introduced me to a show I had never really paid attention to before. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of it. It's pretty obscure. It's just a little TV show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This pop culture phenomenon completely passed me by when it was actually on. I was 5 years old when it started and 12 when it was over. But even when I was older, I was never interested in reruns. I always thought it was supposed to be a girly show. No joke. I had the preconception that it was mostly about a cheerleader who happened to fight vampires on occasion. I couldn't have been more wrong. Literally, when I decided to hunt the show down for the first time, it took me exactly 2 minutes into the very first scene to realize that I would love this show forever. However, we're not talking about that right now. Sure, I could go on for hours about this show, but I need to build up my reviewer cred before I can really tackle that particular beloved series. Instead, we're going to talk about something a little bit more obscure. In fact, technically, it's never been released. Did you know that Buffy was going to have an animated series? It's true! Joss and his team even went so far as to make a short pilot for the series. The story goes that the Fox network greenlit the show, but then decided to stop their Fox Kids lineup. Fox decided to try to pawn it off to another network, however, no channel was willing to take the risk. This was in 2001, which was during a period of time where cartoons that were a bit more adult in tone were considered a big risk for the networks. Remember, this was when The Simpsons were starting to stagnate and before Family Guy changed the face of TV forever. Still, we have at least 4 minutes worth of content to really sink our teeth into, so let's not waste any time. Let's see if this cartoon has any bite. So we start off with a chase, as we see a guy chase a woman into an alleyway.
There are things in the dark. Dark things.
Allow me to remind you that this was a proof of concept pilot, and there were a few kinks that they needed to work out. Some crappy writing is to be expected. The guy turns out to be a vampire, and the blonde is our eponymous Slayer. She obviously kicks the vamp's butt and dusts him in seconds. We cut directly to school, where Giles tells Buffy and her Scooby Gang about an upcoming apocalypse. But the teenagers are more preoccupied with an upcoming party.
I'm putting on my dancing shoes. And my standing in the corner not talking to anyone t-shirt.
That was the best line in the whole thing, rivaled only by Giles a few seconds later.
Ooh, but gosh, what'll happen if you and Cordelia are wearing the same color? It'll be, you know, a thing.
The writing might be bad in some places, but that was some clear Whedon brilliance right there. A dragon drops in out of nowhere and drags Buffy off into a kind of dated CG flying effect. She gets into a brawl with the dragon in midair, and end of cartoon. No, really. The whole short is only about 3 minutes and 35 seconds long. This video talking about it is probably going to be twice as long as the actual video. You can go find it on YouTube right now and watch it. It's really easy to find. I really wish we had gotten more of this. Unfortunately, I have to review only what we have. And what we have is a really damn good proof of concept. The art style reminds me a lot of the 90s DC cartoons like Batman and Superman. We have nice, heavy black lines and a dynamic gothic style. I absolutely love the character designs, especially the designs of the monsters. The action was extremely well done, with every punch having weight, even if it was animated. The voice acting is, well, a bit hit and miss. The cast from the original show returned, for the most part. Buffy was the only exception, being played by Giselle Loren, who voiced Buffy in the video games. The rest of the cast are a bit stiff, with the exception being Nicholas Brendon, who knocked it out of the park. Other than that, the writing was a bit wonky, and Lord knows the pacing sucked, but it was just a short. We get enough of a story that it does sound interesting. I can imagine how it could have been fleshed out. But luckily, I don't have to imagine it. During the Buffy Season 8 comic series, there was one issue where Buffy has a dream about, well, the animated series. It's in almost exactly the same drawing style as the cartoon short. It even follows the same story. Granted, some things are changed to better fit a sense of pace. The conversation with Giles happens in a cemetery with some dialogue changes. The dragon doesn't come until the climax. It's generally fleshed out with a bit more plot. We even have scenes with Buffy's mom, and even Angel makes an appearance. I would totally review it in full, but right now, I'm not the comic reviewing type.
Did somebody say comics?
Hey, it's Chris from Comic Showcase and the Starbolts webcomic.
Thank you. Oh, you're too kind. Oh, especially you over there. Oh my God, thank you very much. So, Daffy, what were you saying about comics?
Sorry, Chris, I didn't mean to summon you. I was just talking about an issue of the Buffy comic.
Buffy? Isn't that the teenager who kills werewolves or something?
Actually, it's vampires, but, yeah.
I don't know anything about that show. I only know that the director directed Avengers. That was cool. Now, if we're talking about horror comics, well,
Hold on, Chris. I don't have the time right now, but maybe some other time if that's okay.
Oh. Well, alright. See you later, Daffy.
Later, Chris, and thanks for the cameo. For the rest of you, there's a link in the description for his website and his YouTube channel. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. Having read all of Buffy Season 8 and basically hating it, I'll say that this was my favorite issue of the comic out of all of them. As to the cartoon, I'm really disappointed in the networks. Really, how would anyone find this any more adult than something like Gargoyles or Batman? It doesn't mention anything teenagery other than a house party. How is that too adult for kids? Would I have loved to see a full show based on this cartoon? Yes, definitely. But I guess that'll stay a beautifully animated dream for now. Until next time, I'll see you around the campfire.
Buffy, isn't she the werewolf who kills teenagers?
Would I have loved to see a full cartoon show based on this cartoon show? Yes, cartoon show. I would have loved to cartoon show this cartoon show. Until cartoon show, I'll see you around the cartoon show.